Hello and welcome to another episode of Couch BatCheet, where we are going to be reviewing the happenings of first week of IPL 8th season. Joining us today, as usual, is the great Bong Arnab, and hello Arnab. And for the first time on Couch BatCheet is the hashtag amazing Ananta. Hi Ananta.
Hi.
Well done. Well done. Nice choice of shirt.
Yeah, man. The best in the world.
So let's start with the most important thing, which is fantasy. So this season I'm not playing fantasy because I gotten lazy and finally a realization that I suck at it. So how are you guys doing?
I'm doing horribly this time. I mean, I had all my luck during the ICC One Day World Cup, and now the other side of luck is coming. I always pick the wrong guy now. Like there's no exception.
And Ananta, how are you doing with your fantasy? I think we may have lost Ananta briefly there. That's okay. Every team has played at least one game. Most of them have played two, actually, except for Sunrisers and RCB. Everybody has played two games. Dada, so what is your early impressions of how the tournament is panning out, matching your expectations, and also who do you think are the best and the worst teams?
So last week when we had our BatCheet, I had said that Delhi was going to be the last. Mumbai I think was going to be the second last, and that's exactly how things look right now. They have gone exactly as I said they would. I wish I had better luck when predicting the specific players, because today I thought Ambati Raidu would do well. I didn't pick Harbhajan, but the thing is, all the teams are performing as I thought they would perform. Calcutta, two games, one win, one defeat. That win is against Mumbai. It will basically beat the lower half of teams. It will not beat the upper half teams. It's going to have a middle of the table finish. Bangalore, I predicted to be my winner. I think they played very well that day. They had a lot of things wrong. I mean, they were horrible in the field, but yet they were able to beat Calcutta at Eden Gardens, which is not a very easy thing to do. So I think they have a very good start this year. I don't know how Gale's back is going to go, and I honestly think they should play Subramaniam, Badrinath, because they need some amount of solidity in the middle order, and they're not playing him right now. I don't think they need another of the uncapped dashers to kind of fill in a number 4 or number 5 slot. They have enough people. If they can't get runs with the top 3, then another guy won't get that run.
Talking about the mistakes, they dropped a fair bit. Catches, missed some runouts and stuff. Even AB dropped a catch. AB coming in at 5-6 again. You think teams would have wisened up by now that you only have 120 balls and you need to get best batsman. I mean, I understand there's a whole bunch of analytics and people trying to justify their existence. These assistant coaches and computer guys. Fair enough. Trying to get whatever advantage, but you have to do the basic things first and then look for the advantage. Whereas, it doesn't make any sense to sending in A.B. de Villiers when the run rate is already 10, 11, and he has only 50 balls to work with, 50 or 60 balls.
Absolutely.
Your take on that? I mean, teams should be sending all these best guys up front, right?
ABDV should not be batting lower than 1 down. Okay. Because the thing with ABDV is that even on the days he doesn't play, he inspires fear. Like there's nobody in the world game who inspires fear as he does. I mean, the moment he comes into bat, and this was what made Gautam Gambhir's captain even more bizarre. That he had this guy called Kariyappa, who I know he bought him for 2.4 crores. He was like, I bought you for 2.4 crores. Now show it. So to put him in front of ABDV and Gale when he's not played a Ranji Trophy game, it was just unbelievable to kind of expect him to do anything. And then he at least got ABDV's wicket. Of course, he gave away 20 runs, but ABDV has to come in after the 5. If they lose an early wicket, maybe they should send Karthik in. Okay. If they lose, say for instance, Gale in the second over, which can happen, they should send Karthik in. But ABDV should not come in after the 7th over. I mean, maybe before 7th over, you may want to keep him because the other people feel that, okay, ABDV is still there, so I can maybe goof off for a few balls. With ABDV gone, everybody knows the game's over. So maybe that's the reason why they want to keep ABDV. But ABDV is not Pollard. You can't expect ABDV to come in the 15th, and even Pollard now is not the Pollard that he used to be. You can't keep him for the 16th over. He's too good a player. I mean, he can also build. He can get a century 150 if he comes in at the 6th over. He can get a 150 by 20 overs. That's not a problem.
I mean, I accept that AD aspect of it. I mean, we've seen a couple of new things, which is Virat Kohli coming in as opener, Rohit Sharma pushing himself up opening. It didn't pan out today against Kings 11. It was beautiful bowling by Sandeep Sharma. But teams are slowly starting to wisen up to the fact that they have to send the best batsman in. Kings 11 sent Maxwell up front. David Miller came up. So they seem
only SRH didn't get the memo. They sent Williamson.
Talking about SRH, Kane Williamson came in. I mean, everybody still thinks he's a classical batsman, so he may not suit T20. But if you had looked at World 2014, World T20, Kane Williamson was starting to get his, identify how to handle T20 as well, as he has done well in Test and ODI, now T20 as well. So I think, once again, like RCB is doing with Virat Kohli, Gale, AB de Villiers, Sunrisers have to do with Shikhar Dhawan. It's not as solid as RCB, but they need to go with Shikhar Dhawan, Warner, and Williamson. That has to be your top three, no matter what.
Kane Williamson reminds me of Jayawardene in his prime. He's not a kind of guy who will continuously keep on hitting sixes like Jayawardene. But Jayawardene was awesome in T20 situations. He could score at 140, run strike rate, and you wouldn't even notice that he's scoring at 140. I mean, Kane Williamson in good form, and Kane Williamson is a good player of spin. Number 7, this makes no sense for him. He just cannot come and clear the boundary like that. So they have got that totally wrong. I don't know why they're sending KL Rahul at one down. I just don't understand. I mean, I don't even know why they're playing KL Rahul for one. But if they're investing in him, then that's fine. But he definitely cannot be a one down player. I think Ananta's back.
Yeah, Ananta. We already talked about your favorite cricketer, Badrinath, that you should be, getting in the middle of things in the way he did for CSK. That he should also do something similar with RCB. Holding the things together when there's an early wicket, then he comes in to solidify. If not, then he probably doesn't get to bat at all. So, any thoughts on Badri?
So, I am not sure if the other teams even have the kind of a mindset, right? And all through the years, it's been Chennai that has the kind of philosophy. None of the other teams have actually followed that trend. So I'm not so sure he'll be able to even do something for RCB at all. Whether he'll be playing any games, I don't even know. I don't even know.
Okay. I mean, we'll see how things pan out. They have pretty decent lineup, and they have the resources to actually, as Arnav said, to really challenge for the title. We'll see how they go. Going back to that pick of Cariappa, he didn't play the first game, he played the second game, a lot of hype around him. KKR spent a lot of money. Arnab, was there any mystery about him? He was like that Sri Lankan off-spinning, the next Murli that they all said about, what's his name? I forget his name now. Tarindu Kaushal. During the World Cup, he came in and he did okay. He didn't do anything spectacular. So, did you see anything from Cariappa that made you sit back and say, "Wow, this kid is something"?
I'll be fair to him. I mean, you cannot come in and bowl to ABDV or Chris Gale, and this is your first game. I mean, you will forget everything, really. I mean, you would just be so nervous, and he looked nervous when he came into bowl. And I think his trick is he bowls a leg spinner with 3 fingers. I mean, Chris Gale isn't reading his hand, or ABDV isn't reading his hand. They're not those kinds of batsmen. He might work against a Kane Williamson, for instance. But those guys aren't reading of the hand. They're just their hand-eye coordination is so good. Even if they don't know which way the ball is spinning, they'll still clear the ground. So it was a horrible decision to bring him. It was a horrible decision to play him against Bangalore, first of all, because it's that kind of a team. He should have played against Mumbai Indians, perhaps played against the weaker team, gotten some kind of confidence, and then perhaps he would have been a more force if they plan to invest in him, which I hope they do. I mean, they spent 2.4 crores on him. They plan to invest in him as a long-time option. But they just pushed him there. He's definitely not going to play the next game after this. He may not play any game after this. They still have the other Yadav, who's a fairly decent Chinaman bowler who had a very good CLT20. They haven't played him. I don't know why they bid for Kariappa, knowing that they had a good spinner who they were not being able to play. In a way, it hasn't mattered because KKR's batting has surprisingly done very well. I was shocked by Gautam Gambhir's getting 250s in succession. I mean, his form, if you look at his cricket for last few innings, it's really, really bad. So the problem with KKR is KKR have played the best they can. This is really the best, and they've still won one and lost one. And that's as a KKR fan, I'm worried about that.
Ananta, so in the matches that has happened so far in the first week of the IPL, any outstanding matches, things that you can remember? I mean, considering there are matches coming in, by the time you understood what has happened, the next match is already on you. Any standout performance that you can recall?
So you can't ignore Gale, you can't ignore McCallum, right? But I guess the interesting thing for me has been how Narayan has bowled. In the sense that, I mean, he's coming off a so-called bowling action change, and I think his action has changed. I mean, it's a lot different than he used to bowl. And if you see how he is bowled, he's not taken wickets at all. And but he still has not conceded runs either. So I think that's kind of standing out for me. I mean, not necessarily a standout performance, but it's something that I am looking forward to see how it proceeds.
It's an interesting. I want to add to that. It's an interesting point, Ananta, you raised about bowlers, spinners, off spinners especially. Under additional scrutiny, umpires looking out for any kink in the action, and they have been given the authority to call it as they see it by BCCI or IPL Governing Council, whichever one you look at it. And today, Harbhajan Singh, after he got 2 for 20 in his 4 against Kings 11. It was a very different Harbhajan Singh bowling performance. Correct. Where he tossed the ball up, it was slow through the air, which meant that the ball would turn, and people couldn't hit through the line when he tried to bowl past those darts. So I think somebody also tweeted, I think it was Manjrekar or Akash Chopra, I'm not sure, mentioned about whether this new thing of umpires looking for action is making actually spinners go back to what they originally started to do, which is spin the ball, toss the ball, change pace, so on and so forth. Arnab, your thoughts on?
So I'll actually, I had very similar thoughts because both Pragyan Ojha and who also had correction, they are bowling much slower than they normally do. Now with Narayan, I think he is much less effective than he used to be because Narayan's basic. I mean, if you look at the 4 overs that he bowled, there were at least 3 balls which I remember which spun straight off the face of Chris Gale's bat. Okay, they really spun. I don't recall Narayan spinning the ball that much when he had his old action. However, in the last over, so the reason why Narayan is still somewhat economic is people, at least in the first 2 matches, are still scared of him. Okay, they still want to play him out. So when he first came on to bowl, there were lots of places where I saw that he was tossing the ball up and they were just not going for it. Now the last over, he got really hit. Because if this was the old Narayan, see, last over they had nothing to lose, and he was still tossing it up. If this was the old Narayan, he would have darted it in at that point of time. It would have been coming really fast, and there was no way. If you recall last year, I think it was a Mumbai Indians match where all the Mumbai Indians hitters, all of them fell to Narayan. They were all bowled because they all went to play expansive 6 shots and Anderson, and by the time that bat came down, the ball had hit the stumps. He was bowling that fast. I mean, they're beaten for pace. Narayan can no longer do that. So he's lost that ability. He's lost that variety.
But do you see any obvious change in his delivery action?
Yeah, he loops it. I mean, his hand comes so much slower. I mean, he definitely looks much more round on. I mean, if you look at him, he looks like, oh, this is a very different bowling action. and it loops. I mean, the ball kind of loops up. You see it rising up. You would never see it rising. It would go straight down like that.
It's more conventional right now. It's more conventional.
I see.
He's lost his quirks.
And in a way, that brings a lot of the spinners, because now it's not about just getting the ball to the other end as fast as possible. So there is going to be hopefully some more guile, beating them with pace, and with the wickets there are going to be some turn also, and also you have leg spinners. You have Mishra, you have Karan Sharma, you have Imran Tahir. So there is very good set of actual spinners. Now you can call spinners, not just leggies and dot throwers. So that kind of gives an additional dimension to this season of IPL, doesn't it? That where the slow bowlers are going to dominate as much as the pacers.
They're going to dominate more as the tournament goes on, because the pitches.
Yeah. Before the end of the tournament.
Go for it, Arnab.
So I said they're going to dominate more as the tournament goes on, because the pitches are going to wear. They haven't played a season this time. I mean, it's not a World Cup that there was a World Cup before. These are fresh pitches mostly. And for Delhi, for instance, today the Delhi pitch was pretty good. Normally Delhi pitches are horrible. I mean, 120, 130. Even Calcutta, you would see high-scoring matches. I don't think by the time, like 1.5 months later, it will be like this.
Good point. Very, very good point. Another thing I want to talk about is Indian seamers. For example, Kings 11, they have Mitchell Johnson, but he's coming in at first change. And you have Sandeep Sharma and Anurit Singh, both of them swinging the ball early and often. And, today Sandeep Sharma bowled out his 4 overs. Anurit was brought back later on. But that seems to be another new theme developing here, where teams are not entirely reliant on their overseas imports for providing any beef in the in the fast bowling department, whereas they're more than happy to use Indian bowlers, whether they are experienced at international level or not. They seem to have more confidence in them taking the new ball and do whatever they can. Ananta, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, to put a different spin to it, I think the teams that are most likely to succeed are going to be the teams that have an Indian paceman coming in and bowling really well. To me, Mumbai Indians does not seem to be like that team. I don't see the kind of bowlers that you see, as you said, Sandeep Sharma and Anurit Singh bowling well for Kings 11. I don't see the kind of bowlers bowling for Mumbai Indians. So that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem for teams like that. And I think SRH also has a similar problem. I don't think they have. I mean, even though they are bowling heavy, they don't have the kind of batting. At the same time, I don't think they have the kind of bowlers that will help them succeed either.
I mean, they have Ishant Sharma, so I think that supports your point.
Yeah, but again, see, to be very honest, he's not played a lot. He's not played a lot recently. So let me just put it that way.
Okay, Arnab, any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you saw how Vinay Kumar bowled today. He was like fodder. He just coming in, he would know where. It was just like, would it go to the onside or would it go to the offside? That's all. That was the only suspense. He's definitely not going to get out the way Vinay Kumar was bowling. And kudos for Calcutta for offloading him this season. That was like one of the great move. I was so happy not to see him playing for KKR. I think that these guys, I mean, the KXP's bowlers do exceptionally well. It's not that they're doing very well this year. They did very well last year also, and they haven't even played at Mohali, where they definitely have an advantage with their 2 Indian quicks. The thing is that Sandeep Sharma has this nice IPL speed, which I think he can swing the ball, but he's not express. The problem with Mitchell Johnson is that he's so fast, and on Indian pitches, he comes at exactly the right speed. I mean, even a Piyush Chawla can hit him. When the stars are so aligned, that would never happen in Australia. Piyush Chawla would never be able to touch him if he was in Australia. So there are some bowlers who, when people just buy them, I mean, I would be very interested to see how Trent Bolt, for instance, progresses in the tournament. They didn't play Dale Steyn, which is good, because Dale Steyn also has that very hittable pace, and we saw what happened to him when he bowled to ABDV last season. What happens, when a real good batsman gets into him. So, but will Trent Bolt be any better? I think he will not be. I think Trent Bolt is not going to have a good tournament, but I may be wrong.
I want to talk about two players. One, MS Dhoni. There was a piece on Cricinfo recently saying that the big hitting days of Dhoni are behind him, and he's not the same batsman that he is. In a lot of ways, that is true. Of course, everybody changes with time and wear and tear. He's not going to be the same batsman. He now may not have the same impact. And of course, 2 days after that piece came out, he went out and got a 50. That's a different thing. I want to talk about him, and the other player I want to talk about is Yuvraj Singh. Is he still? I mean, of course, Delhi paid him what 16 crores. I'm assuming he's not. You guys will agree that he's not worth the money. But what the hell is he doing in this season? I mean, have you seen anything that gives you confidence that except for Ramesh Raja, I don't think anybody is in love with him in terms of his ability. Arnab?
Yuvraj just doesn't seem to be there. I mean, Yuvraj, even if you look at throughout the IPL, he's never been a great IPL player. I mean, how many standout performances has Yuvraj given in the IPL? I mean, Yuvraj is a kind of person who's a very, I would say he reserves his best for great occasions. In the sense, he has to get his blood pumping. And when you see Yuvraj, I mean, in a World Cup game, firstly, Yuvraj's best is over. That's also true. He's had severe health problems, and I just don't feel that the World Cup's over also. So it was obvious that he wanted to play in the World Cup. That's over. He definitely does. I mean, except his father, I don't think anybody thinks he'll make it to the next World Cup to play cricket. So
his father thinks a lot of things these days.
Yeah, his father thinks a lot of things, but let's not go there. But I mean, there's no realistic chance of him progressing in his career. He will not play Test cricket. I mean, they have moved beyond him, and I really don't think he's worth bringing in. So he's just showing up for, I don't know what he's showing up for, and I think that shows in the way he's playing. He's not totally there. He might turn it around. Last season, actually, he played very well in the second half of the season, but I believe that at that point of time, perhaps he was thinking about this year's World Cup. So there was something that he was working towards. I think everything went downhill after his final performance in the T20 in the T20 World Cup. I think that was the death knell in his coffin. I mean, if that hadn't happened, there would have been a lot of pressure to include him this time in Australia, and that would have been a disaster. But he still would have played in Australia this time. I think that is the reason. That's why he's been very lackluster, and I would be very surprised, given also that he's in Delhi, which is definitely on its way down, that anything much will happen. He might play one good innings, that's it. And I'm definitely not going to be able to select him in my fantasy on that day. I will definitely on that day. Everybody will have him on that day. Okay, but then Dhoni, of course. I mean, the articles that are being written about Dhoni today are exactly the same articles that were being written about Sachin for the last 10 years before his retirement, that he's going downhill. He's no longer the Sachin of 1998. Of course he isn't. Of course his back has problems, and even more than Sachin, I wrote a blog post about it. Dhoni is a person who's the ultimate professional. I mean, he will not stretch himself beyond a point at which he believes that there's nothing worth doing. He's very, very calculating, and and he can still produce. We saw in the last CSK game, he's very good. Maybe he's not. Maybe against the highest opposition, maybe on Australian pitches against Malinga at his best, those kind of things, perhaps he will not be able to play moving forward. But the standard of cricket in IPL is not that great. I mean, let's all accept it. So I think at IPL, I mean, in any tournament where Raina is the most favorite batsman, Dhoni is still a force to be reckoned with. Let me put it like that.
You had to take the dig against Raina. So, talking about Singakutti, Ananta, so your thoughts on Dhoni? I mean, you are a CSK fan, right? Through and through.
Correct. So, Dhoni aside, I don't think CSK has any batting issues, right? They are settled. They are loaded with bats.
Okay, Ananta has internet issues. I guess CSK doesn't have batting issues, but Ananta has internet issues. All right, Ananta, we lost you there, the audio. So we'll move on to wrapping up the show. I think we have been on for a decent amount of time now. Looking ahead, is there anything particular? Of course, you want to see how Delhi is going to find a new way to lose. Obviously, that is in top of everybody's mind. But is there anything else that you're looking forward to in the next week of play?
Firstly, there are no KKR games the next week of play because they're having elections. So that's one thing. Um, everything's been very predictable this year, and the only thing which I'm hoping for is some level of unpredictability. I'm looking for a very good Glenn Maxwell innings. It's not just because I PP him every fantasy game and screw up. That's not the only reason, but I really like to see him play. The way he plays. I would like to see a century from Virender Sehwag. So, I mean, one of the older guys, so that we can all cheer for him, cheer for them one last time. Like, I've been very happy with the way Gambhir's playing. I hope he keeps on doing well. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, and I would like to. Another thing, I would like to see some good new Indian players. I mean, Huda has been sensational so far. One or two more good Indian players that we can immediately then pitchfork to international cricket, make them fail, and then we can laugh at them. So, Slotkar types. So,
another anything that you're looking forward to?
See, I'm looking forward to RCB using AB de Villiers better. He's playing way down the order. Unless he's going to come up, he's not going to score anything for them. They have to correct that mistake. And then staying with RCB, they need to pair Gale with somebody who's less athletic. I mean, his fitness is a big issue for him. They should not make him run. That's a key.
I don't think he's looking to run anyway.
If I may interject, a good thing is to bring Dada back. Gale with Dada. No running from either end. That's it. Dada will give him Funda. Great opening partnership.
Gale is a god of leg side, Dada can be the god of offside, and they can cover the field that way. One last question. This is to either of you, which is that if you start putting a certain player, on your fantasy team and you keep PPing him, at what point in time do you? Because it's like a gambling thing, Once you have invested in it 2 or 3 times, then you're like, you're gun shy to take him off as PP and then suddenly coming good. If you have put him as a power, your power player, and then he comes good in the first 2 or 3 times, then you're like, okay, a couple of times he fails, and then you can like, okay, he gave me whatever I wanted, so out, I'll get a new player. But if you have somebody that is not giving you points, and so, like, how gun shy are you to remove the person?
See, I'm gun shy about Raina. Right? I'm a little gun shy this year about Vijay. One current CSK player, one old CSK player. But I'm going to have Maxwell throughout.
I see.
Just like Arnav, I'm going to have Maxwell throughout. But again, the point is you've gotten burnt when you did change them, so you never want to take them away.
I see.
Because they're going to succeed in some way or the other.
It depends on where exactly in the table you are. Okay. So if you are playing badly, if you are down at the bottom or in the middle, then you say, okay, I'm not going to gamble with Maxwell. I mean, if I play Maxwell, everybody's playing Maxwell. I stay where I am. So I will then lose my faith in Maxwell and perhaps go for Sehwag or somebody and hope that that's his day. But with somebody like Maxwell, you know that there will be one day in which he will score like 90 or 100. It might come against, it might come against on the day that you choose to take a risk, but it'll definitely happen. And so you have to. There are some players in whom you have faith, and some players in which you don't have faith. For instance, I had Aaron Finch in my batting in my team in the first game because last year I had Aaron Finch in 2 games and he played very well in one of them. But I've already lost my faith in Aaron Finch. Okay, he might still play well, but I'm not going to select Aaron Finch anymore. But I will keep on selecting Maxwell. I have already lost faith in Narayan, for instance. So last year, KKR game, automatic Narayan, automatic PP. No other question, unless Maxwell was at the other end. This year, I'm possibly not going to even select Narayan again because I don't think Narayan is that Narayan again. I mean, I selected him for the first game. I was hoping that he would surprise me, but the first day I was like, okay, this is not the Nara. And second, I selected him again principally because it was Eden Gardens and he had the very good record against Bangalore and precisely that lineup. So those things count when you're selecting. But after this, I don't think. I mean, he's become like Malinga. I think Malinga you shouldn't select also.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. Malinga, he looked very off color in the ODI World Cup, and he looked, to be overweight, out of, there was no match fitness, etc. And he hasn't looked any better in the two matches that we have seen. Anyway, on that note, Ananta, thanks for making the debut on BatCheet, and Dada, once again, thanks as always, and thank you all for watching.
All right, bye.
So thanks, guys. Hope you have me again.
All right, certainly. Cheers. Thank you.